Chapter 49. Jacob's Departure. Genesis 31, 1-55. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, The speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, The ring-streaked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring-streaked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass, at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes, and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes, and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-streaked, speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's, now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Then Jacob rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle, and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Paddan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up, and passed over the river, and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabrets, and with harp? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your fathers spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren, discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the 2 maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tents, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth and chided with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I bought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Thus I have been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labour of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou sayest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar-sahadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread, and they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, and returned unto his place. Genesis 31, 1-55. This chapter tells us, first, that Jacob's obvious blessing by God rankled with Laban and his sons. During Jacob's stay, 14 years for Rachel and Leah, and 6 years to earn something for himself, Laban changed the terms of employment, quote, 10 times, end quote, that is, very, very often. God so obviously favoured Jacob, no matter what the terms were, that it was apparent to all that Jacob was God's man. Up to this point, Laban was circumspect. Now his faulty premises began to appear. Had he rejoiced in the success of his son-in-law, God would have blessed him also. Instead, he did all that he could to cheat Jacob. Second, God made it clear to Jacob that he had prospered, not because of his silly devices at breeding time for the animals, but because God blessed him no matter what Laban did. God made known to Jacob that it was not Jacob's doing, but God's that had prospered him. Whatever kind of cattle Laban said would be Jacob's, those varieties predominated at birthing time. Verses 7-13. Third, Jacob was ordered by God in a vision to return to Canaan. Verse 13. Jacob's schooling by God at Haran was now over. There would be more training in Canaan. Fourth, both Rachel and Leah were agreed with Jacob that their father had wronged them and Jacob. Verses 14-16. They recognized their father's duplicity and were totally with their husband in his decision to leave. In order to prevent serious conflict, it was decided that they would leave secretly when Laban and his sons were far out in the hills with their livestock, verses 17 to 24. The distance from Padanaram to Canaan was some 300 miles, not an easy journey, with herds of livestock that had to be fed and watered along the way. Progress would be slow. It is noteworthy that both Rachel and Leah not only sided with Jacob, but were also strongly against their father's conduct, verses 14 to 16. This tells us much about Jacob. Normally then, and even now in many cultures, the father and the brothers were a woman's defenders against any abuse by her husband. Women maintained the best possible relationship to their father and brothers in order to keep their husbands in line. Their security against spousal abuse depended on keeping close ties to their own family. Leah and Rachel made clear that they want to break such ties. Fifth, as against his daughters, Laban insisted on seeing his sons and himself as their protectors. This was one of the purposes of his pursuit of Jacob. Laban accuses Jacob of carrying, quote, "away with my daughters as captive taken with the sword," verse 26. Had Jacob sought to leave openly, there could have been a party first, music and feasting, verse 27. Now, if he had not caught up with Jacob, Laban would not have been able to bid farewell to his grandchildren, verse 28. Sixth, Laban accuses Jacob of stealing his household gods, verse 30. This was a matter of importance. Laban, a syncretist, recognized both the living God and the local gods. The possession of these images meant that the possessor was the true heir of the family's wealth, the new head of the household. Laban thus accuses Jacob of a double theft of his daughters and of his gods. Their possession would make Jacob Laban's heir. The matter was thus very important because it separated the estate from Laban's control. Jacob was then angry and showed it. He invited Laban and his men to go through all his possessions to search for the idols, verses 32 to 36. In fact, Jacob was ready to see the thief killed, so sure was he of his household's innocence. He did not know that Rachel was the thief, verse 32. When the search was conducted, Laban himself searched the tents of Jacob, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, verses 33 and 34. Rachel, pretending to be menstruating and ill, sat in a camel's saddle wherein the gods were hidden. Her father did not ask her to get up, and so the gods were not discovered, verse 35. Jacob then gave vent to his anger, and he went over the indignities he had suffered at Laban's hands, verses 36 to 42. It had only been tolerable for Jacob because his covenant with God had sustained him. Seventh, God had warned Laban that Jacob was his man and that Laban was not to speak either good or bad to him, verse 24. Whatever Laban said was thus limited by this fact. His purpose in the chase was thus to say goodbye to his daughters and grandchildren and to recover the household gods. There was a problem now in that these images were not located and Jacob was apparently innocent. Anyone in the family could have stolen the images and hidden them as Laban approached. Laban, to protect his heirs, now proposed a covenant. Stones were gathered for an altar called, quote, the heap of witness, verse 46 following. The covenant made, the altar was seen also as a beacon or watchtower, Mizpah. The covenant concluded with this statement, "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another," verses 48 and 49. The terms are given to us in verses 50 to 53. They require that neither side will pass beyond the altar to do harm to the other. This precluded Jacob from any claim to Laban's estate. By invoking God to watch over him, Jacob promised to treat Leah and Rachel in a godly manner. This safeguarded Laban's concerns and it protected Jacob from interference. After a covenant meal together, Laban kissed his daughters and grandchildren and left. 8th, Jacob is cautious in what he does. In verse 1, we see that the real problem is more Laban's sons than Laban. They held that Jacob was profiting at their father's expense, meaning at their own. Their hostility began to affect Laban, verse 2, and altered his attitude towards Jacob. At the same time, Leah and Rachel resented the terms in which they had been given to Jacob. They felt that their father had treated them as, quote, strangers, for he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured our money. Verse 5. God had righted this theft by blessing Jacob. Verse 16. We are told no more of this, but there is no reason to doubt what Rachel and Leah said. Jacob had worked to provide a dowry, a very high one, and no dowry was given to the girls by Laban in recompense for Jacob's 14 years of service. In this matter, Laban was clearly at fault. Moreover, Jacob had bent over backwards to be favourable to Laban. A herd or flock will have certain losses due to wild animals. Jacob had absorbed all such losses, verse 39, more than honourable conduct on his part. Normally, the killed animal was sent to the rancher as proof that a wild animal was responsible. The Hebrew word for sons can also mean grandchildren. In chapter 29, there is no mention of any sons of Laban. In Genesis 31:23 speaks of Laban's brothers or kinsmen, but not sons. Spicer thus held that Laban had no sons, only male kinfolk, grandsons or the like. This would mean that Laban, seeing that Jacob was not planning to stay, would favour others over Jacob. Rachel, in stealing the household images, and it was theft, obviously saw it as reclaiming what was rightfully hers, Leah's and Jacob's property. Spicer sees this chapter as very important and, quote, a key witness on the subject of patriarchal traditions in general, end quote. Under Nusu and Hurrian law, all that Jacob had could be claimed by Laban without the household gods, whose guardian owned all. Laban owned nothing. Rachel had destroyed any legal claim by Laban over Jacob and his possessions. It was not paganism on Rachel's part to take the images, but a decision, however wrong, to protect her husband's property. Earlier, Isaac's wealth had made the Philistines jealous. Now Jacob's wealth made Laban and his family angry and jealous. If Spicer is right and Laban had no sons, it does explain Laban's urgent desire to keep Jacob with him one way or another. He wanted a reliable and able heir. In the process, however, he alienated his daughters and Jacob and lost his grandsons by Jacob. It was an ugly situation, and Laban's call for a covenant provided the only safe way out of it. Jacob was ignorant of what Rachel had done. He had pinned his hope on flight, but the slow movement of his herds and flocks enabled Laban to catch up with him. Possibly he had hoped that Laban would not be informed of his flight in time to catch up with him, but clearly Laban had been hastily informed. Persons at the home base would quickly recognize that, however much they may have preferred Jacob, their future was with Laban.